Let's get it to 30. Let's do 30 shares. Let's go. 30 more shares, and then I promise I will get this room going, get it started, and
Danay, you're holding the room hostage up until we get 30 shares, huh?
I'm in
I see
auction
what
mode.
you're doing.
Let's go. Let's get it to 30. 29, 29, 29. Okay. All right. We have 29. I'm sure we're going to get, there we go. 30 it is. Okay. Welcome. Bienvenidos, gente. Welcome to Amigos Presents Comcast Rise. Thank you so much for joining us. Keep sharing the room. Okay. For those who don't know, my name is Danay Escanaverino. I am the founder of Amigos. We are a tremendously effective, exciting community of almost 38,000 members whose aim it is to elevate our Latino professional community here on the platform and on other platforms. And so we are thrilled to have you all join us for what I know will be an amazing event. So what is this event all about? Okay, well, what is Comcast RISE? Comcast RISE is a multi-year commitment by Comcast and partners to provide grants, marketing, creative, media, and technology services to small businesses owned by people of color, including Black, Indigenous, Hispanic, Latino, Asian American, as well as women. And so you guys know I'm a numbers geek, so I'm going to share a couple of numbers with you that are just I love numbers. So here we go. I'll just jump into it. So $60 million. That is the amount of money that Comcast has poured into the POC small business community just in year one of this initiative. $60 million. Over 8,000. That is the number of recipients of these grants and services. Again, that's just year one. So when I say this, I wanted to share that because I hope you can see why I'm so excited to have this conversation with our guests. Who are our guests? Well, our guests include my co-moderator, Rodrigo Bravo, who is a small business owner and a leader in the Amigos community. But we also have Mr. William Bell, who is the Senior Director of Multicultural Communications at Comcast. We also have Hector Nunez, who is the founder and president of Water Ice. And he also happens to be a recipient of the Comcast RISE Creative Production Services Award. And we have Silvia Marmolejos, who is the founder of Living Latina Productions and also a recipient of the Comcast RISE Media Services Award. And so before we have our guests take a moment and tell us more about themselves and you know their connection to this program, I'm going to go ahead and send the mic over to Rodrigo so he can review the format of this room. So Rodrigo, over to you.
Thank you so much, Danay. Thank you so much for just really creating this partnership so that we can introduce this to our community here on Clubhouse and everywhere else as well. My name is Rodrigo Bravo. I am a small business owner, but I am also a member of the Amigos group, and really excited to have this program here and spotlighting, highlighting all the benefits that are happening to our comunidad. With that said, though, I want to just make sure and let everybody know how this is going to work. First of all, what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and let our guests introduce themselves right before we get into the questions. So they're going to introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about themselves, how they got into the program or why this program is so important to them. And then we're going to be asking them questions. Danay, myself, we're going to go ahead and lead those questions for roughly about the first half of the event. Okay, we definitely encourage folks to go ahead and chime in the chat. Feel free to, ask a question, or maybe something resonates with you. Feel free to add it in the chat. We definitely want some interaction, some engagement with everybody there. However, if you do have a question that you want it to be answered, or you have a comment or anything like that, we will be inviting audience members to join us with their own questions in the second half of this program. I do want to go ahead and just let people know, if you do want to participate, we do kindly ask you to have something in your bio. Okay, we want to make sure that we have a clean stage, or we don't have folks that maybe are disrupting the stage. And the best way to kind of protect that is to make sure that you have a bio and make sure that, you're somebody live, you know what I'm saying, that's not possibly a troll or anything like that. With that said, If you do have a question and you want to get it out in front, feel free to put it in the chat, and one of our admins will go ahead and invite you at a later point when we do start the audience Q&A. With that said, though, I do want to go ahead and kick it back off to Danay, who will then go ahead and let our guests introduce themselves.
Thank you so much for that, Rodrigo. Well, let's just jump right into it. William, why don't you tell us about yourself and let the Amigos Familia know more about Comcast RISE?
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here. I am William Bell, as Danay mentioned. I'm the Senior Director of Multicultural Communications at Comcast Corporate. I've actually been at Comcast for a couple of years now, and I've been working on this program for a couple of years, actually, so kind of since I started, almost. It's something that we're super proud of as a company that I'm proud of to work on. It's a pretty sizable part of my day to day and what I do at Comcast is getting the word out about this program, working on the PR around it, making sure that anytime we have an announcement, an expansion of the program to another eligible group, or hitting milestones in terms of the number of businesses or the amount of money that's being provided to help these recipients. We'd like to get the word out, just because we want to encourage people to apply. We want to make sure that there's awareness of this program, in particular in certain markets where we have a presence, and where we want to give back to the community in which we operate. This program has special meaning for me. I was telling Danay earlier, I'm Mexican American on my mother's side. Can't tell by my last name, but I did want to make that point because my grandparents were Mexican Americans trying to make their way in a world that was not always favorable. It was kind of hostile, I guess, in some ways, especially back then. Small business owners and my grandmother was a seamstress, my grandfather was a tailor, and also my mother was a small business owner. She owned an art gallery and frame shop when I was a kid. So I get what it's like to, the blood, sweat, and tears that go into a small business, and what it takes to survive, and that there are times when these types of businesses need support from larger companies, from nonprofits, from other organizations, and from the community. So this program just has a special place in my heart because of that, and some of the stories that you're going to hear during this conversation, I think, will really super positive stories that I love to talk about, and what this has meant to a lot of our recipients who've already participated and who are currently participating in this program. So with that, I will stop talking for a minute and let Hector and Silvana introduce themselves. But I definitely wanted to sort of set the stage of why this is important to us, and what it means to me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, William. Hector, please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you. What should we know about Hector?
First and foremost, thanks for having me. I appreciate you having me on to speak. And shout out to everybody in the room for joining today. Definitely is a great event opportunity to be connected with everyone. Just real quick background. My name is Hector Nunez. I live out here in Philly. My company is called WaterIce.com. You're probably wondering what the hell does that mean. Water Ice is a local treat. It's regional. It's kind of like cheesesteak, soft pretzel in Philly. So we're a hyper local online magazine in Philly. So it's nothing to do with food. We do like what to do, where to go in Philly, events, and we build like a nice small, not small, actually large community here in Philly of followers on Instagram. Um, Basically, we highlight local entrepreneurs, uh, things to do. We don't really do anything like chain, but like if somebody has like a restaurant that's opening up, or an event, a lot of people are like, we don't know what's going on in the city. They come to us as a resource, and we highlight these small businesses, which a lot of them don't have the budget or the means to promote or do traditional advertising like radio and billboard spots. So that's where we come in and help them with, promoting their services. We'll draft the article for them. And a lot of times we'll do some pro bono video work. And as a byproduct of what we do a ton of white label stuff. So businesses may just need a video, or hosting, or live streaming, or some to that effect, and we offer those services as well. So we're not just like events and things to do in Philly. We also offer a lot of marketing services for local businesses here, and we're very budget friendly. So a lot of we definitely have a lot of local community, especially Black and Brown, that lean on us to get the word out and to promote their services. Um, I actually got the Comcast Rise award. I think it was 2021, I want to say. And for at the time the pandemic was still kind of happening, there was more restrictions, so we got the commercial. So we got like a commercial spot on TV, and at the time I wanted to shoot I was shooting it myself, but at the time we couldn't do it because a lot of the venues we couldn't get access to, and when I so it took like a year to actually finish it. So we actually went up against the deadline and got it finished, but I guess serendipitously, we also won the because our local hockey team, the Flyers, also have like a small business reward for Black and Brown businesses, which we won that also, and they provided $100,000 worth of marketing services, which included billboards, radio spots, things like that. And it happened to coincide with when I finished this radio spot, so we were really buzzing with the TV spots and the billboards and everything else. So everything worked well, and I guess the moral story is like definitely there's a lot of opportunities out there if to look and push and take the time out, like instead of just maybe sitting at home, maybe looking at the next series of whatever on Netflix. It could take an hour to like really research grants and connect with people and see what's really out there, because you never know what opportunities will exist. So that's pretty much the gist of it. If you have any questions, I guess as we move along, I'd be happy to answer any further questions.
Hector, thank you so much for that thorough intro. And I think the biggest takeaway that I got was go get it. It sounds like you really went out there and looked for these grants and looked, for things that would help your small business. And I think that's the exciting part about the Comcast RISE program is that they're there. It's just a question of going out there and getting it. So thank you so much for your intro. Definitely want to pass the mic on to Silvana. Silvana, could you please introduce yourself and let folks know what this program means to you and, a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for the kind introduction. So my name is Silvana Marmolejos, and I am the CEO of Living Latina Productions. And basically, this company basically stemmed from many, many years of working within the television industry, over 15 years, starting within the Latin American programming space. So basically, one of the first programs that I worked with was Mundos under the NBC umbrella, basically targeting Latinos born in the US. So a lot of those shows with one of my first shows was Pitbull, La Esquina, when he was just kind of like a local act in Miami, and working in television and music shows and variety shows lent itself to then working with MTV and helping build their MTV3 Latin American brand, doing all sorts of shows from Quiero Mis Quinces, Quiero Mi Boda, Quiero Mi Baby, so many shows that were really big hits, and did really, really well with Latinos born in the US. And so there was this space for a lot of content creation that was really looking for people like myself to really join the bandwagon and start to create really unique, diverse content that really spoke to everyone, right? Living Latina is not just for Latinos, it's for everyone. And basically, that's how it all started. So, yeah, my background actually was within the reality TV industry when it was something like a new thing back in the day. But I was asked also how I found out about the Comcast RISE program. And basically, my stepdad was the one who called me, his brother, my stepdad's brother, called me and encouraged me to, Solana, you need to apply for this program. You really need to do this. Duke, I hope you're here listening in. Because you got to give credit where credit is due. Duke kind of pushed for me to apply for the program. And shortly after, I heard that I had been selected as a recipient for Comcast RISE. Just to add on to what you were saying earlier, William, I too come from a background of immigrant families from the Dominican Republic that came to this country and started their own small businesses. And as entrepreneurs, raised beautiful families. I have a very big family. My mom is one of 11, and working hard, and building their businesses. They were in the grocery store industry, and they still are, and they've thrived in this country. But I knew very well what it was like to be the child of a female mom, a business owner, and a day-to-day operator. And so I guess it kind of ran in my veins. And later I kind of decided to open up my own production company, Living Latina. And thanks to Comcast RISE, I have had a commercial rolling now for almost, I want to say over 60 days, that has, received really excellent reviews and actually led to working on a show for the OWN network. So I will say it's been a really successful experience for me thus far. So William, your work as a multicultural director of communications of Comcast is not in vain. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you. So glad to hear that. And wonderful hearing both of y'all's stories. And see, this is why I get up in the morning and go to work and do what I do, just because I love hearing these case studies and these, the fact that you've seized this opportunity. It really makes us happy, all of us on the team. So thank you. And I guess with that, Denai, do we want to go ahead and start talking? Do you want me to go ahead and start talking about the program and background, how it was launched, and those types of things?
That would be great, William. I really appreciate that everybody has given their intros. I want to just remind folks, please, make sure you share this room, get some folks out there, share it on your social media. We're going to have a really good discussion right now regarding the Comcast Rise program. And William, yeah, that would be great. Can you kind of give us a history, a background of the Comcast Rise program, how it came about, and what are the intentions with the program, so that folks can have a better understanding of why Comcast is doing this and why specifically targeting the communities it is.
Yes, sorry about that. I was trying to get off mute. I guess my fingers are a little bit too big for this phone. But yes, of course, of course. So yeah, we launched in November 2020. We launched Comcast Rise, and it was a national effort. And I'm going to be doing a little bit of reading here just to make sure that I get all the wording correctly. So I apologize for that. But I do want this to be informal, and I want people to feel comfortable asking questions, jumping in, and such. But it was a national effort to uplift and support local small businesses that were hardest hit by the economic impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, which, there's still a ripple effect, obviously, for that. And it was focused initially, on small business owners of color, recognizing that these entrepreneurs were the hardest hit. And there is actual data. A study was done that backs this up. The recent study by the National Bureau of Economic Research, that not only showed that, like, I think between February and April of 2020, small business ownership dropped from like 15 million to 11.7 million. And it dropped even more dramatically for business owners of color. I think in the Black community, it was a drop of 41%. And that was followed by Hispanic and Asian owned businesses. So it was kind of like, it was unfortunate, but these communities have been disproportionately negatively affected by the pandemic. And it's really sad because these types of small businesses are the backbone of the neighborhoods and communities that they serve. I mean, if you don't have the stores to go to where you see your neighbors, local beauty parlor, local bakery, the restaurants that we all love to go to, the mom and pop restaurants. I mean, obviously the big chains survived, they did, especially online, big chains and like the restaurant chains, they were going to be okay. I mean, at the end of the day, like everybody suffered, of course. Obviously, I don't want to downplay that, but the ones that suffered the most were like the mom and pop businesses that keep a neighborhood alive and give it its character. And so that's why we wanted to focus on those areas. And we've rolled it out in waves. We started with Black-owned business owners, then we opened it to business owners of color and in general, like Black, Hispanic, and Asian, and more. And then and we've recently in 2022 opened it to female-owned businesses who were also hit much harder than other groups. So it's one of those things where we looking forward with this. We want to continue to offer more grants and more services, marketing and technology services, to strengthen even more small businesses that are the heart of these local communities. And as we continue to rebuild, recover, and emerge from this pandemic, we want to give them the tools not just to survive, but also to thrive. So you're going to hear more about this, but for some of these folks, this was what helped them get to the other side. It was what helped them make it through the worst, the darkest days of the pandemic when, frankly, some of these businesses were not considered essential. Like we have this really awesome case study from this gentleman who owns a martial arts. I think it's Ravlin Martial Arts. I forget where it was located, but hearing his story, for example, he gets really choked up when he talks about how basically the government told him your business is not essential, so you have to close. And this is something that was his passion, and that he built this from the ground up. And it was this is where he knew he had his students and the community, and to have that be sort of shut down, which we all had to do to prevent the disease from spreading, but it's devastating for people. And so that's the idea. So we wanted to be there to help the people get to the other side, so to speak, and then to continue to have success. Oh, and just one more thing on that, in case somebody was not aware, Comcast RISE stands for, it's actually an acronym. It's Representation, Investment, Strength, and Empowerment. And the services, which we'll get into more detail in a second, there's marketing and technology services, but we also have another sub-program called Comcast RISE Investment Fund, which is grants, actual monetary grants.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. I was actually just going to ask you about that. So, the Comcast RISE program is so all encompassing. Like it has so many parts to it. I know that there's one portion which are the marketing, the tech upgrades, and all of the services, and then there's the investment fund. And I want to make sure people know all of the different parts of this Comcast RISE initiative, so that they can apply for what they can apply for, and just I just want everybody to know more about it, because there really, really is a lot to it. So, William, can you just tell us, can you break it down for us, the two different parts of it?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, the core program, the original program, has to do with marketing and technology services that we provide. So, for example, I mean, there's definitely consultation, so general business and marketing consultation, providing insights on how folks can grow their business. That's always, going to be a part of that. From a media standpoint, we offer a linear TV media schedule over a 90-day period from Effectv, the advertising division of Comcast. Creative production of a commercial, so a turnkey 30-second TV commercial for their business to attract more customers and build awareness. Tech makeovers, so this includes a combination of Comcast Business, internet, voice, cybersecurity, malware protection, video surveillance services, equipment, so computer equipment, and whether that be desktops, laptops, or tablets. And let me see what else. And then we also have marketing and data insights via our Comcast RISE monthly newsletter. And also through, we work with a company called Eureka, a third-party organization that provides an online platform for entrepreneurs that, with a specialized online networking community that has additional educational resources, and sources of capital. They have experts. It's almost like an online community. And so that's the idea, is that we want to make sure that this is not a one and done thing where we help you with your commercial and then we're like, okay, you're finished. We want to provide ongoing consultation. We want to provide ongoing support, and Eureka helps us do that. It's spelled Ureeka, in case anybody's curious and wants to look them up. So that's the marketing and technology portion of it. And in a minute, we'll get to dates and timelines and things like that, and who's eligible. But also, we have the monetary grants, which are part of the Comcast RISE Investment Fund. In our first round of this, we announced in April of 2021 that we would provide $5 million in grants to 500 small businesses in 5 cities. So there's been multiple rounds. The cities change with each round. I'm not going to list all of them right now, but we tend to, obviously in their major metropolitan areas, they're areas where we have a big presence, places like Philly, Atlanta, Houston, Seattle, the Bay Area, the Twin Cities. So just always keep keep your eye on the website, because we will have another round in the fall. We don't know, I don't even know which cities that's going to be yet. But so it is something that's evolving. And if you don't qualify because you're not in a specific city or county where that investment grant is happening, we definitely encourage folks to apply for the core program because that's much less restrictive in terms of geography and in terms of timing as well. It's like kind of like an ongoing cohort type thing that you can always kind of apply for that one.
Yeah, and I want to also add, William, that like a lot of times people don't think to apply, but you just have to. You just never really, really know. Quite frankly, I had been inundated with work during COVID, interestingly enough, because I provide content for a lot of different entities, right? And I work with an organization called the Council of Urban Professionals, and they're all about diversity and inclusion. They're in Wall Street, New York, and everybody was working from home. So all these convenings we would do in person, we were now doing it all via Zoom and home. So I was just honestly flooded with work because I was finding myself having to like, right, not only produce the programming we would have done in person at events in the city, but now all from home while going through a pandemic, like while versing people on how to like bring their best self to Zoom as we continue to do different presentations and programming. And honestly, it was so great to go through the process of creating my own commercial with the Comcast RISE. I really felt like I got so much support for my Comcast RISE representative. He's phenomenal. His name was Kevin. And just from the beginning to the end, like how we created my commercial, the content, like, the editing process. And honestly, I have gotten so many wonderful reviews from different folks, and I just forwarded the commercial to everybody within my network. And even that, like, I just recently have been working on a project with the Oprah Winfrey Network, all about tackling homelessness in America. For instance, I would have never gotten that opportunity to work for that show had it not been honestly for this Comcast Rise commercial. So I come from such a grateful space for that, getting that visibility. And funny enough, like in production, I've always allowed for people to tell their stories, right? Within our networks. I've worked with MTV, I worked with VH1, I work with medical daytime TV on ABC. And it's like Comcast actually offered me an opportunity that I had been offering so many people throughout my 15 years in production and television. Like, you guys gave me a commercial, you casted the casting director, you gave me visibility, and I felt like that was like life paying it forward. So I just want to say it's been a really wonderful journey for me with you guys and this commercial, to be quite frank with you. And I'm coming from a really grateful space and just saying thank you for paying it forward to the casting director this time around.
That's so great to hear once again. Like I said, I love hearing stories like this, and I think that that's a very good point that you make. It's like we obviously with the marketing services, it's a lot of it is about building awareness. We've heard stories about even like a restaurant, like in a neighborhood where folks saw the commercial on TV and they were they like didn't realize, oh, I didn't know you were here this whole time, like 2 blocks away from my house or my apartment or whatever. And so like helping them to find new customers, with the tech makeovers, a lot of like some of the businesses get new equipment or they've got like new systems that help them to sort of track sales and to organize themselves in a way where then they can serve more customers or they can hire additional employees because they've grown now. And that's the other thing too. That's part of that ripple effect where if we help a small business to thrive, then they will hire additional employees, they will grow, and that helps the entire community. So it doesn't just stop with that business. It's a domino effect and it expands beyond that.
What a great testament there, Silvana. Thank you so much for providing that because it just goes to show that the program is helping folks out in a way that maybe they didn't even realize that they either needed the help or that they benefited so much from the program. A lot of folks, myself included, were really good at tasks, right? At certain things that we're good at. But there's some other ones that maybe we are not that great at. And I think that's really where the help comes through. And your testimony there is just phenomenal for the program. I wanted to ask William, one of the most common questions we get, William, is how can I best prepare myself or my business to qualify for any of the available grants? What would you say to somebody that has that question?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, if anybody needs to drop early, I want to make sure that this gets out there. That all the I'm used to doing these in Spanish. I was like, I was going to say all the requisitos, all the requirements or whatever, all the for eligibility is on ComcastRISE.com. And so if you want to go there, the full list is there. And the eligibility requirements, they do vary depending on which program you're applying for. So if you look at the marketing and technology services, it's there's a list. I can go through the list kind of right now. But it's small and medium-sized businesses owned by people of color and or women, and the owner needs to be at least 18 years of age or older, and sort of like actively engaged in that day-to-day operation of the business. No more than 25 full-time and part-time employees for the tech makeover, no more than 100 full-time and part-time employees for the consultation, media, and creative. And for the tech makeover, it cannot be a home-based business. The business has to be operating at a residential, or sorry, not operating at a residential address. It needs to have like a permanent fixed location. Established business operations for at least one calendar year, and then registered to conduct business in in the United States, in the contiguous United States. Business is independently owned and operated, and I believe it's required to be in the Comcast, no, must fall in the Comcast Business or Effectv footprint. So you can look online and you'll see like the locations and the list of places for that. And then for the investment fund, it's slightly different. It's like must be established for at least 3 years, 1 to 25 employees, similar to the marketing and technology services, owned and operated by at least 51%. I think it's 51% by a member of a community of color or women, and they're chosen by a third-party organization, and we do that because we don't want it to be like Comcast is showing favoritism towards any specific business or specific type of business. So we've sort of outsourced that like selection process. But one of the things we do say is, about in terms of how applicants are judged, especially for the investment fund, is like, based on the impact from the COVID-19 to the business, their families, and their communities, like how they've been able to pivot and continue forward, and what they're bringing to the table for their communities that they operate in. So I know that was a mouthful. So I encourage anybody who's interested to go to ComcastRISE.com, and you'll see basically everything that I just said. And also on the website, we have our FAQs, and all those are listed there in the FAQ section as well. So, and it's all different types of business. I mean, the types of businesses that we've helped have run the gamut from like, fitness centers, cupcake shops, beauty salons, restaurants, production companies. Like, it's just like a very big variety. Like I said, martial arts centers, boutiques, like small, clothing stores, things like that. So like, all the things that you think of when you think of a small business, like those types of places, like that's the type of people that we've been helping.
I love that. Thank you for that, William. And I have to say, I was having some technical issues, but I was able to finally get the Comcast Rise application link up on the pin link. So you can go ahead and follow that link and read up on all of the information as well while you're in here with us. And so I'd like to take it a little bit in a different direction and go over to Hector. Hector, I would love to know, since well, it's not a different direction. It's actually in the same vein of what we're talking about. We're talking about the different types of businesses, right, that can qualify for these opportunities. And so I would love to know more about your business, Hector, and specifically how receiving the Creative Production Services Award has impacted your business. Just take us through, what it was like, and what it has done for you business-wise.
Sure. As I mentioned before, at the core, we're an online magazine that's hyperlocal in Philadelphia that supports small businesses. And during the pandemic, a lot of businesses, especially in the restaurant industry, had to shut down, pivot, or we're going through a lot. So we actually were assisting a lot of businesses pro bono in a lot of aspects to help keep them afloat, drive business to them and visibility. So that we were doing a lot of that during the pandemic. We actually had off our studio space in down in Center City, which we were leasing, and the firm that we were leasing from actually shut down. So we actually at the same time, lost our office where we were doing a lot of creative work and things like that. So it was tough for us too, but we definitely had to, keep on pushing and get involved with the community because we didn't know, what the extent of how long this was going to last and whatnot. But as far as the receiving the Comcast Creative Award, it definitely helped as far as boosting our own visibility because we're very heavy on social media. But to reach people outside of our circle of influence in Philadelphia to raise our visibility was tremendously helpful because we also, like I mentioned before, sell services to businesses and event planners and things of that nature. So people will inquire about how how much is it to create a video for my business, or do a TikTok for a business, or curate our event, to host our event, things of that nature. So we already had like a marketing partnership deck already established. So we were just sending it out to businesses, and then we'll just drum up more business and create more partnerships with local entities. It could be like PR companies, marketing companies that either um, I guess work as a subcontractor with them, or just through the businesses themselves. So we were able to drum up more businesses on ourselves and create more visibility because, which is also one of probably my main goal, is to increase our followers, especially on Instagram, because obviously the more followers you have, the more people will pay to be in front of your followers, because that's the name of the game. So as we create our quote unquote clout on social media, and this helped us to raise the level of our visibility, and to make I guess it makes you a lot more I guess official, for lack of better terms, because hey, they guys are on have a TV commercial, they must be doing something right. So they definitely we're like, hey, let's see what they're about, and so we're able to and even if we didn't get more business, we are able to create more I guess like cultivate more like partnerships and friendships and things like that. So we were able to connect more people. Like the local Hispanic Chamber of Commerce saw that we won some grants, so they reached out to us, and we were working on becoming a member. Now I'm going to be speaking at. We have a local Latino organization called Taller Puertorriqueño, which I'll be speaking for, like their camp. So to be able to be more involved with the community because they see us. They were more aware. We were on their radar now, so now they're reaching out to us to be more involved with the community, which is also a big that's on top of our our to do list, to be more involved with the Philadelphia community, especially in the Black and Brown communities here in Philadelphia.
Rodrigo, were you going to take it away?
Yeah, no, I wanted to reflect on what Hector just said right now. I think it's really important for folks out there to understand what legitimacy really adds, what kind of value that adds, right? Because Hector was talking about the various ways that the program has helped him. And I think a lot of times we do kind of take that for granted. And I appreciate him highlighting that and making sure that, we focus on that and making sure the Comcast RISE program is really there to kind of help folks where they need the things the most, right? Hector, Silvana, and all the other businesses that have been helped so far, they're obviously doing things right, but there's other things where maybe they need a little help, or they need some coverage, or they whatever the case may be. And I think that's the beauty of it. And Hector really shared that story. Thank you so much for sharing that, Hector. With that said, I wanted to ask William another question, if possible. William, when it comes to when it comes to these small businesses, I know that you shared your personal story and how really impactful this is for you. What made you kind of lead this program? Why was it so important to you?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I was when I first started at Comcast. My background, just to give you a sense, has always been in multicultural PR, more specifically Latino PR. I've worked at a number of different agencies in that world, and I came to Comcast, and a lot of what falls under my role is making sure that we're super serving the communities, the diverse communities, most, obviously this is the future of the United States. I mean, this is where growth is coming from. And we always create our products and services with diverse communities in mind. For example, when we created our bilingual voice remote, when we launched XFi in Spanish, so our internet, the capabilities to use the app in Spanish and to control your children's screen time and what websites they see, like that, we have it designed for Spanish speaking folks. And then in terms of other things, like we are super proud of our Black programming. We have the largest collection of independent Black films on our Black Experience on Xfinity Destination, our channel that we launched last year. And so we're doing a lot in that space. And then, the Comcast RISE Comcast RISE team came to me and asked if I wanted to help out with this program. And of course, the answer is yes. But it's something that it has, it's taken on a larger role for me. At first, I was just helping to kind of pitch it to media and translate the press release and, work with my agencies to get the word out there. And now I've taken on a bigger role here across these past couple of years that the program has been in existence. And, just the more that I hear the case studies, the more that I hear these, stories of folks, like Silvana and Hector and like many of the others that I've alluded to before, it just really further solidifies, the effort. And it's part of a larger effort that we're doing as well. I mean, we made a $100 million commitment in 2020 to, for diversity, equity, and inclusion. That was in June 2020, and we announced the development of a comprehensive multi-year plan to allocate millions of dollars in cash, and in media over the next, 3 years to fight injustice and inequality against any race, ethnicity, gender identity, sexual orientation, or ability. This is part of that, sort of commitment, our mission, and I think it's great because we're putting our money where our mouth is. It's not just lip service. This is something that we launched to really make a difference, and we are. We have 8,000 folks, 8,000 businesses that we've already helped, and we plan to. Our goal is to reach and to help 13,000 by the end of 2022. And then we'll go from there. We're still, it's an evolving program. It's one of those things where we want to continue to help as much as we can. We're looking, like I said, towards end of 22 for that 13,000, to hit that 13,000 number. And yeah, like I said, it's part of a larger commitment, part of, a Project Up, which is also our Comcast comprehensive $1 billion commitment to reach tens of millions of people to help advance digital equity and to build a better future for the communities that in need. So yeah, I guess my what I'm trying to get across there is that this is part of a bigger picture, a bigger program, and I feel like for this one, this program is super tangible because you hear those stories, you're like, oh wow, that person really was able to hire another person because they got more business, because they had a commercial, and because more people found out about them. So it's very tangible results. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, yeah.
Then I may have received a phone call right there. Danai?
Action. Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead. Now we can hear you now.
Okay, great. So no, I was saying that I'm such a big fan of acción, like putting action behind, just behind thoughts. And so this whole Comcast Rise initiative is really, putting into action solutions for POC small businesses and for women-owned small businesses. These are solutions that are needed. And it's not, what I love about it is that this is not a type of program that is just, okay, so, we're going to award this to, 20 businesses and that's it. Good luck to everybody else who applied. Like this, 8,000 businesses impacts a lot of communities. And so that's why I'm such a big fan, because it's not your everyday, it's not your everyday grant or service award program where it only has a few people that can be awarded. It's for everybody. And I love, love, love that about that initiative. So I just had to say that. And then I do have a question in regards to the application process. And we've been getting this question quite a bit. So I want to make sure we address it. Um, when is the eligibility window for the core program, and then what is the eligibility window in time and in location for the 10K program?
Yeah, sure. So, can you all hear me? I'm just gonna keep going.
Yeah.
So our application window. Okay, great. Our window is always on. It's like a rolling sort of rolling announcements. There's different, like I said, cohorts and rounds. For the core program, the current window is open through October 14th, and recipients will be announced at the end of November. So folks can apply right now for that program. We just closed this last round of the investment fund on June 14th, and those winners will be announced on July 26th. But there will be another round in October. Like I said, I don't have a lot of information that I can share about that. I don't actually know all the information about it yet. We're still working on that. So I'm not really withholding anything from all of you. But it's just, I would say just keep looking at the site and looking at, when that's going to happen October 1st to the 14th, and then the winners will be announced in November for that. But I definitely encourage folks to take a look at the core program that provides the marketing and technology services, because you can apply for that today. And we just closed a window for that, and then there's going to be winners that are announced in July for that. But then we opened another one, so that'll go until October.
And I had a question in regards to that, William. So, like, I myself, I did the commercial. I'm able to also apply for the grants program as well. Is that okay?
I believe so. So this is a question that we've gotten before, and I feel like it may have changed. But I would look on the site, and it'll tell you if that's possible. I believe the answer is yes. I do know that if you applied before and you didn't get it, that oh yes, a coworker of mine has just messaged me and told me that yes, you can apply.
Okay,
So
great.
go for it. But the
Can I
other thing
chime in real
too.
quick? Actually, when I got the commercial, they team you up with like a campaign manager, which mine was really good. So you're not in it alone. And she also informed me just to confirm that if you win the campaign, you can still apply for the grant whatever other grant you didn't win. So whatever you didn't get receive, you can apply for that.
Correct.
Oh,
So
great. Thank you.
grants cannot be awarded again. So if you've won a grant, the $10,000 grant, you cannot win another one. But if you got the core program technology and media and technology services, then you can apply for a grant as well. And then I think this is also important for people to know, because if you get notified that for example, in this round that you didn't get selected, you can apply again. So you're still eligible for their future application windows. So don't be discouraged. For example, if for some reason you didn't get it, this first time, and if anybody's listening that applied during the last round and didn't get it, you can apply. You can try again. And there's some other things. There was a couple things that I missed on here that I know that were part of a previous question in terms of the selection process. So I listed all the qualifications, but one of the things that the selection committee is looking at when they review all the eligible submissions received during the period, the contest period, is that the judging criteria. This can help for folks who are wanting to put their best foot forward. Is completeness of submission, obviously, originality of the submission, persuasiveness of responses to questions provided on why the applicant should be considered for the Comcast RISE program. And what that sounds like to me is that, I think just letting your passion shine through. Talk about what kind of effect you have on your community. What do people look to you as a place, that like I said is the backbone of your neighborhood, and how you've been able to pivot. What did you do to get creative during this time of COVID and opening and closing and opening. It's been a really tough time for people. So it's so just think about it through that lens, and I think that way you'll be able to put your best foot forward.
With that said, I wanted to definitely give Silvana a chance to chime in and tell us about what it's been like working with the Comcast team with respect to the Media Services Award and how it's really impacted your business.
So I will say, I always look for scaling, right? Like, where can we scale? First of all, I will say the actual Comcast team has been really helpful, because they even got involved with me with the creative, in the sense of just just, as I think Hector mentioned earlier, just, if you have questions about even the creative, or you're second guessing a couple of things and could use an extra pair of eyes. And I found that Kevin from the team was that for me, and he took the time to hear me out, even within the creative and some of the things that I had in mind. And then we went back and forth. I know that I had quite a few edits, and they were really, they gave me a lot of grace with that, because they knew that, I wanted to have things a specific way, and my brand to be as authentic to what I do and who I am as possible. And so I think that they were very patient with me in the process, and I think that that's really important to say. And then also, I will say, as far as like, how I could scale, how the commercial has helped, it's in that way where I have gotten callbacks from other networks, other television networks, to help them develop a program or help them produce or cast something in specific. I've had people tell me that that saw the commercial, that, after seeing that commercial, they are compelled to make sure that they're moving the needle forward within diversity and inclusion in their networks. It made them, think a little bit more about how they need to do more for their community. So as far as outreach from people, opportunities actually sealed and landed, um, I can attest to that within the Comcast RISE program. And just that, right, like that really meticulous hand holding from the team. Honestly, it's really been a pleasure to work with the Comcast RISE team, to be quite frank with you.
That's wonderful. Yeah, no, and I love the part about the hand holding. I think, I mean, it's overwhelming to run a small business, and especially, when you're a solopreneur or you have a small shop, with a small team. There's always so much that you can do better, and when you have, when you have a company that really this is what they do, help you out with that, it's just amazing. And so, I'd like to just go back to William a minute and ask you can you walk us through the grant that was awarded to Silvana? I know it's the Comcast Rise Media Services Award. What does that grant look like? What does it entail?
Yes, the Media Services Award, and Silvana, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was the 90-day flight, right? The commercial. So
Yes,
basically,
that is correct.
the airtime, yeah. So the difference between the two, it's a linear TV schedule. So for 90 days, and that is what the Media Services Award entails. And as she mentioned, like the impact on her business has been very positive. On the other side of things, when it comes to the media award, we have the creative production services. So that's helping to actually create the commercial, which is what Hector received. So that's the difference between the two of these two participants. Does that help answer the question?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so, okay, so Silvana actually got airtime
Yeah,
for her commercial, and then Hector actually got a commercial created for him.
correct. So for
Well, actually, I
Silvana,
created the
oh,
commercial.
oh, sorry, well, production help. But going back to Silvana, so like what I've been told is it targets nearby households and it runs on 52 plus TV channels. So that's sort of what the media services component is.
Yeah, so just to paint that picture for you guys, I've had family members. I'm in the Miami, Florida area. So I've had family members call me to tell me, wonderful commercial. We just saw it on the news, on CBS. Like like it's been playing, and I've been getting calls from family, from friends, from people who work in media. and then also just passing it along in emails to others to share, hey, look, I am a recipient of this Comcast RISE program, and look at what they did for me, and just paying it forward and talking about the goodness of the program. I'm a big advocate in always, paying it forward. And I've been telling everybody what you guys have done for me. And then like friends of mine that work over at Viacom, that work over at CBS, that work over at ABC, they're like, oh wow, what a phenomenal and great high quality commercial. Let me send this to a person that I was going to send, your work portfolio to. I'm going to go ahead and forward the commercial as well, and it just gives it a little bit more life. It gives more credibility. It shows that Comcast is helping women like myself, that are trying to move their businesses forward, whether it's a pandemic or now, moving past the pandemic. But it's been just a great way for people to see what I do versus just know what I do.
Yeah, I thought I saw also just adding someone in the chat was asking if you have to travel to shoot it and whatnot. I did mine. I don't know. I can't say for anybody else, but I did mine here by myself here in Philly. I don't know if that everybody has travel, but I know you don't have to. You could, if you can create it yourself, you could do it in your hometown.
Yeah, for me myself, my process was like it, I shot with a shooter that I know, and I actually had a producer that I know that I worked with before. I had her help me direct me on camera because normally I'm doing it for other people or for other networks or for other talent. And it was nice to let someone else and pay the baton over to her, and we captured in a certain amount of time, and then we just had to we did it in a few hours, and then we sent it over, we uploaded it, and then we just let them know what direction we wanted, and they sent us an edited version within like a week maybe in 2 days, so it was pretty quick and easy to do.
Also, just adding in the application. When I did it, there was a line. I don't know if it's still true that there was a field where you can drop a YouTube link to a video about your business. So if you're listening to this and you have a business that doesn't already have an about me video, you should start making one now. I mean, it's good to have it anyway, just about your business. You could put it as your home. You could fix it at when people go to your YouTube page. It could be like the home video that's the people automatically greeted with, and it'll autoplay, but just about your business, like what the purpose of it, what your value is to the community or to your people. And you want to have that anyway. You can put on social media. So even if you don't get it, it's good to have regardless. But I think it did help with my process too. So when I think whoever did the application watched the video, which we did, and it just kind of was like a sizzle of what we've done over the years. I think it went a long way. I would think so. But if not, if you're listening to this and you have a business, if you don't already have a about me a video, you should start making one now.
And that's still possible. Thank you for that, Hector. Yeah, for bringing that up. You can still drop a link to your video during the application process, and you're right. I think that's a really great way to really like sort of humanize it and to make it, to show, like I said before, like the passion and just to help with the application process. So definitely keep that in mind, folks, when you're applying.
That's fantastic, and I want to give props to both Hector and Silvana right now because a lot of times, especially in nuestra comunidad with our own gente, we don't want to ask for help. I don't know where this comes from. I know Latinos were tough. We do it by ourselves and get it by our bootstraps and all that good stuff, right? But a lot of times we do need help. We do need help understanding something that maybe we're not proficient at, or we're going to spend an inordinate amount of time doing something that somebody else is already knowledgeable in doing. For example, with Hector, I'm looking at your website, Hector, and Water Ice and every the your scoop to everything Philly. I love Philadelphia. I was not even aware of your site, but I'm looking at it, and there's so much wonderful information, variedad. A lot of gente on there. What I wanted to ask you though was, what was something that the Comcast Rise program helped you understand that maybe you didn't understand before? Because obviously you're doing something right. You got a fantastic website. You got a lot of engagement, good stuff on there. But what could you say that you admit and say, you know what? If it hadn't been for the Comcast Rise program, I probably would not be doing great at this certain thing?
That's a great question. I mean, for one, well, like I mentioned before, they do hook you up with a campaign manager, and there was a lot of jargon and marketing strategies that I wasn't aware of when it comes to TV placement and regions, and because you get to like Philadelphia, uh, they split the map up into probably like 6 areas, and you got to pick like maybe like 4 out of the 6 or where you want it to air. So you really got to dig deep. So one of the things you really understand if you don't understand now about your business is your demographics. Like if you could go into your insights to your Instagram page or Google Analytics and really dig in and so that's one thing that helped me understand a lot better because I had a loose understanding about it, and I've done SEO before for as a project manager and before I started my business. So, but definitely, it's like if you win, you gotta like understand who your demographic is, where they're at. So like understand and really like get a good grasp on your social media tools and your analytics because even if you don't have this, when you want to spend money on advertising and be on your own and when you want to do a TV spot, you'll better know what to do and the strategies you want to make because you understand your analytics and your audience. So that's one thing that definitely made me more aware of and more.
Yeah, and to Hector's point, thank you for bringing that up, Hector. Our own Rise leads will help, will guide you through this process, and to his point, the more you already know about your customer, the better. But this is one of the things that we definitely will provide support in as well.
I will also add, what it does? Es como los latinos siempre estamos en comunidad, ayudándonos unos los otros. O sea, estamos siempre trabajando en how can I serve my fellow individual, how can, and so when you're running everything and you're doing everything in a business as a business owner, as you know, there's so many moving parts. What Comcast Rise forced me to do, which was a great thing, is stop for a moment and work on myself and my visibility and my marketing and my brand. Because we're so busy on the day to day, even doing the commercial, I had to stop what I was doing for a second. So it was kind of like, a step back, right, in order to take a step forward, as my boyfriend would say. You have to sometimes take a minute and just work on yourself so that then you can allow for other opportunities to then arise. Had it not been for me taking some time to work on the commercial, taking some time to kind of put, a little bit more time into seeing what it is that I'm about, what it is that I do, and take the time to really present it to others for this commercial, I wouldn't have had those opportunities. I would have missed out on that. So I'm really, I'm really grateful. It's like it just it makes you take a pause for bigger picture scenario, and I'm really grateful for Comcast to take the time to do that for their gente, for the community, for someone like myself. So yeah, just I have nothing but wonderful things to say about the program.
I'm sorry, William, were you going to say something?
No, I was just gonna thank Silvana, and like that's really great to hear, and that is interesting that you said that because I feel like because a lot of these business owners have been, in some cases, struggling to survive, and have just been focused on the day to day, and just like from one day to the next. Like one of the quotes that we do hear a lot of is like that you help me to look beyond like the next day and to like really to pause and to help me get to that next level. And one of the things we are doing that we try to do in the Latino community especially is to be like, this program is indeed for you. We have one sheets and we have other documents that we provide in Spanish. We do the press release in Spanish. We put this on Latino media. We've done stories on Telemundo about this in local markets, online news sites and things like that. And I've done some interviews in Spanish on Telemundo for this, just to be like, this program is for you. Don't be afraid to apply. Having those documents and things like that in Spanish helps because there are some business owners that may still struggle with English that we want to make sure that you can apply as well. Like this is something that is for you. So yeah, so I think it is very much about the community, and it's also about like getting out of the day to day so that you can think about like longer term. you know?
William, and when you say that, sorry, you know what it reminds me of? I did the first season of Levels Kids. The voice was always in English, right? And I was brought in to do Levels Kids. And I remember talking to the creator and saying, listen, we need to open up phone lines because kids' parents don't know how to have their kids apply for this. They don't have computers at home. They don't have laptops at home. A lot of these kids go to libraries. They don't, if we don't open up phone lines, we're going to miss out on so many kids that want to be on this show. And I thank you for that, William. Like learning how to also customize these types of programs for our people who don't, like you said, necessarily, they might need help sitting down and filling out the application, and they may miss out on something so great just because of that. So the fact that I'm hearing that you're so mindful, about our community and making it user friendly, it speaks a lot about, Comcast. It speaks a lot about what you're doing for the community and how you're customizing things for our people. So I'm
Definitely.
really proud of it. Really proud of it.
Yeah,
Congrats.
thank you so much for that. Yeah, and we definitely try to customize it in the best way that we can rather than just simply translating. Like, we do change even some of the wording. Like, there's been certain communities where Latinos who saw it, like they weren't sure where they fell in terms of like, am I a person of color? I'm Latino, but I don't know. Like, since we Latinos come in all colors and shades, whatever, and we're all very proud of that, the diversity in our community. But like we had to even change some of the wording to make sure it said specifically like, yes, Latinos can, Latino-owned businesses can apply for this program. And so just simple things like that, like just and being on the pulse of a neighborhood and knowing like what people are looking for is definitely helpful. We've had some of our team even walk the streets of some of these neighborhoods and passing out information to small business owners to make sure that they knew about it. So the corridor walks, as we call them. So yeah, I mean, just like trying to find creative ways to reach people. It's very important.
I love that. And I love the fact that there is documentation in Spanish as well. And that you really, so as a marketer myself, when you said, we didn't just translate it, but we transcreated it, that just is music to my ears. Okay, gente, I would love to reset the room and just remind everybody that we are talking about the Comcast RISE initiative with all of these opportunities. If you are just joining us, we are going to actually open up the room for some audience Q&A. So if you would like to join us, please raise your hand. We will try to get as many people up here as possible. We are screening for questions. So if you didn't ask your question, please place your question in the chat. And we're doing that specifically in the interest of time because, we have William and Hector and Silvana up until 5 p.m. And we want to make sure that we're respectful of everybody's time and that we get as many questions answered about this program. Also, I wanted to remind everybody that the Comcast RISE application is linked at the top of the room. So at any point, you can go in there and follow that link and look through the FAQs and look for, look for all of the other information and apply. By the way, if you still are unsure about the application process, we will be hosting a space tomorrow to go over the application step by step. If you need help in Spanish, we'll be doing that as well. Send me a message in the back channel if you're interested in that, or if you know of somebody that can use that help, and we'll definitely get them included with that. So I just also wanted to clarify one thing. Because we saw some questions, and William made it a point to remind me that we do not want to exclude these types of businesses. So, home-based businesses are eligible for all of the other services that are being awarded. The only one that they're not eligible for is the monetary grant. Am I correct when I say that, William?
No, no, sorry if my text to you wasn't clear. It's for everything except for the tech makeover.
Okay. All right. Great.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we want to make sure that we're not excluding home-based businesses. Home businesses are eligible for everything but the tech piece. So they're eligible for the grants, they're eligible for the media, the marketing consultation, all those things, all good.
Got it. Okay, that's great. So there you go, gente. For everybody who was just asking and they weren't sure because you had a home based business, that just basically opens up this opportunity to almost everybody in here because I see you all and I know how many of you have home based businesses. So, with that, I would love to welcome one of our audience members to the stage, Dali Rivera. Dali, I know you had a question. Would you kindly ask your question?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for hosting this room and answering our questions. So I actually have two questions. My first one is, what exactly is a quasi-government employee? I just want to clarify because from my understanding is anybody who is kind of like supported through the government, like a school. But please correct me if I'm wrong because I work for a contractor to the government. I just want to make sure that I still qualify to, enter my business into this for this application.
Yeah, so I believe the answer to this is any government, any volunteer government official or like school board or things like that. Like yes, you can still apply.
Great, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Dali. And I would like to send the mic over to Carmen Medrano. Carmen, did you have a question that you would like to ask Will?
Hi, Will. Thank you for answering these questions. I was looking at the application and it says that it has to be open for a year on the daily. I run a seasonal type of business, but during the winter, I'm working on networking marketing. Since that, I was, because of the networking and marketing and so forth, I've been featured into magazines, so forth. And I was just wondering that if that still includes me because I have been running for over a little bit over a year, but my season really starts in like the end of April, and that's when my sales start to happening. Now I'm starting to get wholesale contracts, so I'm hoping those will carry me through the winter. But does that mean my mark date starts all over again, or does that include me as being open for over a year, even though my sales aren't coming in necessarily in the winter?
It's based on your being open for at least a year. So just proving that your business license has been around for a year, the seasonal is fine. It doesn't that doesn't play into it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And yeah, no problem. I hope that helps. In other words, I mean, like, yes, you can apply.
Is it okay if I ask another question after we get through Shopify and Julie?
Actually, I have two more people coming up, Carmen. So we're just going to keep it to one question per person. But once we get through with them, if we still have time, I'll definitely send the mic over to your way. So thank you so much for that, amiga. Okay. So up next, we have Anika Grandison, better known as the Shopify Queen. And Anika, the mic is yours. Do you have a question for William?
Absolutely. Thank you for hosting this space. It's been amazing, by the way. Hey, William, thank you for being here, taking the time out of your day. My question for business owners that do not have a brick and mortar but have a Shopify store on the e-commerce side, are they able to apply for the grant too?
Yes, is the answer. So, sorry, just had to think for a second. But yeah, you should be fine. What you can do, and I'll just tell this for any folks who have joined towards the end here, is that we definitely, if you have eligibility questions, like definitely go to the website, the ComcastRISE.com, and everything is there. But again, brick and mortar is only required for the tech makeover. So if it's a home-based business, you're good to go for the other stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anika. Up next, we have Julie DeLuca Collins. Julie, do you have a question for William?
I do. Thank you so much again for holding the space, and William and all the Comcast folks. I have to tell you that I do have a client that has been a recipient of this and has been a phenomenal thing for her. My question for you is, with multiple owners within an organization, what percentage, again, do they need to be of minority descent or women owned in order for them to participate? And is there a cap or a minimum income in their income for the business? Thank you.
For the first question, it's 51%, at least 51%, minority owned or female owned, and then no income requirements in terms of your second question.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love this, man. We are getting through questions pretty quickly. It's like a rapid fire or something. Okay. Oh my goodness. I hope I don't mess up the name. Is it Akala or Akala?
Akala.
Akala, welcome to the stage. Did you have a question for William regarding the Comcast RISE initiative?
I do, and thank you very much for hosting this room. I was curious, I did just apply, so I went through the questions. I hope that I answered them to the best of my ability. But as far as the process goes for going through the applications and things like that, what can I expect, and what kind of communication can I expect to, just so that I keep my eyes open?
Yeah, that's a great question. I guess my question back to you is that did you recently apply for the investment fund, which ended? Oh, okay. So it looks like you applied for the core program before June 18th, and which was the last day for that cohort. The announcements for that will be July 26th. And so I don't think between now and then, they're going through the selection process and things like that. So I would just like sit tight, and then you'll find out in late July.
Is it via email or phone?
Via email. There are a few cases where we've called folks, but that's simply because we wanted to ask if they were okay with doing interviews for media and stuff like that. But you will find out via email.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
And we do. Sorry, one thing. We will do a phone follow up if you don't reply. If you get the email that you've become that you're a recipient and we don't hear back from you.
Perfect. That was going to be my follow up question. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Akela. Okay, just moving it right along. Jolanta, welcome to the stage. Do you have a question for William?
I do. So I was wondering, I know you mentioned earlier for the application process that you had some certain cities. I am in one of those cities, but I'm also, is this available for countries outside of the US as well for this partnership?
It's U.S. only. And then for the cities, for the investment fund, we've just closed the most recent round for that. So I would just keep checking back on the website to see what cities will happen this fall. We usually do 5 cities at a time, and we've repeated at least one city before. So if your city has already been part of it, it's possible that it might be again. And I don't want to get people's hopes up because I don't know yet which cities. But like I said, if you're not in the city that's in the investment fund next round, then please definitely apply for the core program. Does it help?
Thank you. I do have a couple other questions, but thank you so much. If you take back channels or anything, I can reach out to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jolanta. And let's go ahead and, before we go to the next person, I did want to circle back to something that was brought up, and I completely forgot to ask you about this, William. And that was, can you share with us how the winners are chosen? Because I want to make sure that people know that it's a specific selection process, and how that works.
Yeah, sure. So it is, like as I mentioned before, there is a committee. It's an outside organization. It's a third party that selects based on the completeness of the app and some of the other items that I mentioned before. But definitely make sure that you fill out everything. I would say that's the most important. And we want to make sure that there's nothing that was left unanswered. And there are some other things that we list in the FAQs that that they're going to be looking at, like I said before, originality of submission, persuasiveness of responses to questions provided on why the applicant should be considered for the Comcast RISE program. And then for the investment fund, it was kind of like, how have you been able to pivot during these times, these difficult times, and it's a number of different things that they're looking at. So it's not like one like single thing. That's why it's hard for me to say really exactly what it is, but I would say completeness of the app. Like definitely fill out everything, and that because that's going to be like the base requirement essentially. But yeah, we work with a third party for that because we don't want it so that like Comcast looks like we're picking favorites, and like I said, like that we don't want to be like we're picking favorite industries or favorite businesses or anything like that. So we leave that to them.
Great. I appreciate you going over that. That's specifically why I asked. I wanted to make sure that people understood that it is a committee that is, making these selections, and that it's not you specifically choosing favorites or anything like that.
It's not me. Nope.
Okay. So let's go over to Babushka. Babushka, how are you, Bella? Do you have a question for William?
Hola, 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 beautifuls. Mira que hace tiempo. I haven't been around in a while. I'm kind of lost with all the new bells and whistles. But thank you, William. Thank you, everyone. I'm glad for that clarification because Bibi was thinking, well, home base, olvídate, ain't going to happen. But it is. So I thank you very much. I will be applying. Now, my question is the following. Is this for individual owners or can nonprofits also apply?
I believe individual owners. Let me just double check. Hold on. 501c3 organizations are not eligible. Chamber organizations, educational institutions, political advisors, things like marijuana dispensaries and firearms and other industries that that there's a list, if you go onto the FAQs, but unfortunately, yeah, nonprofits are not eligible. Most for-profit businesses are eligible, so that's the good news.
Okay, thank you. So Babushka's Rose Garden World will be applying. Mil gracias.
Awesome. Glad to
Thank
hear it.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Babushka. And I'm glad that you asked that question, and I'm glad that we talked about the nonprofits not being eligible because I, for one, always see so many programs for nonprofits, especially when you're talking about the world of grants. So I love that this is about small businesses, that this is about people of color own small businesses, women own small businesses. It's about time we get some of these. So I'm super glad that that came up.
And we do,
Okay.
and just to clarify, real quick, I mean,
Yes.
we have other programs. If anybody's listening, we have other programs that support nonprofits. But this one, like you said, this is for business owners. This is for-profit businesses. So, but yeah, just to make that clear.
Great. Thank you for clarifying that. Okay. We're gonna have two more questions, which are going back to Carmen, and then we'll go back to Jolanta, and then we will wrap up the room because we're coming up on 5 p.m. That means we've been going at this for an hour and almost 30 minutes, and we love having this room and we love having you guys here. But we also want to make sure that we're respectful of your time. So with that, I will go back to Carmen. And Carmen, did you have your other question?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, and I'm sure you've probably gone over it, but this city portion of it, I'm from a small town, so I don't ever think I'm ever going to be part of that city. Do I just apply in hopes that maybe I'll be recognized regardless of the town or city I'm in?
So with that one, I mean, when the time comes, when we've found out, when we've determined what are the next cities, because we've been tending to do it in areas that were most disproportionately affected by the pandemic and the economic crisis that followed. But it's not always necessarily like in the center of the city. Like, the one time we did the program in Philadelphia and we helped out, the town of Chester, which is nearby. So it really depends. I would just make sure that you look at the eligibility when the time comes, and it'll list the counties or zip codes that that are eligible. But for the core program, I mean, it's like most of the country, so it's the contiguous United States, and you can see the full list like on the website, and that's not city specific. So if you're not in a big city, if you're in a small town, chances are you're eligible if you're in our footprint and where we do business.
So the core program, sorry, so the core program is basically for tech work, correct?
It's for both. It's for tech
Okay.
makeovers and it's for the media consultation, like as I mentioned before, the creative services for production of a commercial there, and there's the 90-day flight on linear TV airtime, yeah, so both. So it's technology makeovers and upgrades and equipment, then like that's one bucket, and then the other bucket is the marketing and media services.
Thank you. I appreciate your answering all the questions.
Yeah, no problem. You're welcome.
Great. And we have one last question from Jolanta, and then we will start to wrap up the room. So, Jolanta, the mic is yours.
Thank you today. And William, I was wondering because I was looking at the marketing and tech part. Does that also include podcast production as well, or only is it just because you were talking about commercial production for the creative services? I just want to get some clarification if podcast or video production is included in that. Thank you.
Well, it's a TV commercial, so it's like a 30-second spot. So I don't believe that that necessarily there would be a podcast. No podcast is what I'm being told, but I mean that's great. There's a great suggestion for potentially future initiatives that we might do. But for right now, it is a TV commercial, like a traditional 30-second linear TV commercial. And by linear TV, for those who don't know the marketing and the media lingo, it's like live TV, like when you're watching like ESPN or like NBC or something. It will air during like certain shows, and it's like a traditional commercial.
Oh, got it. That
Yep.
makes perfect sense. Thank you.
You're welcome. All great questions, by the way. Thank you.
These are all great questions. I'm going to see, Rodrigo, I'd like to send the mic back over to you so we can go ahead and start wrapping it up and get the room closed. Okay, he may be having sound issues. I would like to thank everybody for joining us. We are almost at the 5 o'clock mark, and so we definitely want to go ahead and start wrapping up this room. So if you take away anything from this room, please, please, please take away the fact that there's this program from Comcast that awards millions of dollars in services and in grants, and these are opportunities. And so, we definitely want to take advantage of these opportunities. These opportunities have been created for us, for our communities. So I urge you to go to the link that is up, that is the pinned link, and go ahead and apply, learn about the program. And, as you can see from the guests that we had here, all types of different businesses have been awarded these services. So please, please, please go ahead and apply. I wanted to quickly thank our guests, William, Hector, Silvana. Thank you so much. Thank you to my co-moderators, Rodrigo. Rodrigo, are you back?
Oh, I was clapping, but yes, I just wanted to really just state really quick, how beautiful is it to see all the ladies up here on the stage with their small businesses asking questions. I really appreciated that, and it really just goes testament to how pivotal these programs are. And thank you to William and the Comcast RISE team for making it happen. And of course, Hector and Silvana for sharing their stories and hopefully inspiring folks to get out there and apply and get this grant money. And thank you, Danay, as always, for leading these conversations and helping the community be elevated through the Amigos platform.
Great. And with that, I'm sorry, William, did you have some last words? Anything you'd like to let us know before we wrap up the room?
No, just thank you so much for giving us this space and for hearing us out and for all the wonderful questions. And just one more time, just so folks hear it, you apply today. Applications are open. So go to www.comcastrise.com. Thanks so much.
Thank you
Thank you.
guys.
Hector, or I'll go to Silvana first. Silvana, did you want to say your goodbyes?
Oh, no, I wasn't sure if you were gonna just leave. I just wanted to say thank you very much for, your hard work. You guys have been phenomenal as moderators, and it's been a pleasure to be with all of you guys today.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you here. And Hector, did you want to say something?
Oh yeah. Again, I just reiterate. I appreciate the opportunity. Definitely. For speaking on this platform, but also to Comcast for the opportunity for the program, and to all the creators, business owners. Again, like I mentioned before, this plug away. This is not the end all be all. You can always reapply and always keep searching for new grants, make connections, join your local commerce, and just keep pushing.
Thank you so much for that. And so we're going to go ahead and close the room by doing something that we are known for in our community. We are named Amigos for a reason, and that is because we are a warm and welcoming community. And so that's the whole point of the connotation of the word amigos. And so before we leave, I would love for my fellow amigos here on the stage to join me in just giving a gracias, a thank you, a bienvenido, whatever it is that you want to say to William and Hector and Silvana and our guests here. And so I'm going to go ahead. You know what, Rodrigo, do you want to go ahead and count it down?
Oh yeah, no problem. You already know what we do, y'all. You already know what we do every day. Okay, at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. We always have our networking room, and we always welcome new folks to the Amigos rooms. And we're gonna do the same thing right now for William, Hector, and Silvana. Y'all see that they got the little party hats. Let's make sure they feel welcomed as they exit for the first time on this app. Let's go ahead and give them a bienvenidos on the count of three. Unmic, 1, 2, 3.
Bienvenido.
Bienvenidos.
Bienvenidos. Welcome, welcome.
Bienvenidos.
Thank
Thank you. Gracias, gracias.
Tremenda fiesta.
Big day. All right.
Me
Thank
encantó.
you.
Bueno, gente, thank you so much for joining us again. This is Amigos. It was a wonderful room. I hope you all have a beautiful, beautiful evening. And we'll see you around at 10 in the morning. Adios.
Adiós.
Adios.
Bye, beautifuls.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.